Afternoon, guys. Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School, out here on the trap line with another video in this modern trapping series. I want to walk down through this creek bed and I'm going to pull a few traps out because I've got an incoming trapping class coming up here in a couple of weeks, a Hudson Bay intensive trapping class. We're going to be at it for 6 days trapping in some of these areas, so I'm going to pull a lot of my traps out. Now I am going to try some new traps today, and what these are dog-proof raccoon traps, and the simplicity of setting these things is what makes them so great. And very rarely are you going to catch anything in here but a coon, because raccoons are very curious animals. They're going to stick their hands down into things to get bait. And the way this thing works is you just push the door back, a spring-loaded door that's in the front. You push that back, and on the back side you can see there's a set of whiskers in here. And you just push those whiskers forward and it connects a latch. And then when the animal sticks his hand down inside this trap to get the bait in the back and hits these whiskers, it closes around his hand and he can't get back out. And it's got a simple chain on it. It's just a piece of, rectangle stock basically with a collar on it. But I'm going to show you how to set this really simple today. A really simple way to use bait to set this thing. You can put these traps in the ground in about 2 minutes per set. If you had a bunch of these, they are fairly expensive. They are fairly heavy compared to other traps, but they're bulletproof in a lot of ways compared to other traps. So let's walk down this creek bed. I'll show you where I'm going to set this one up, and we'll check a few traps that we're going to pull along the way. Stay with me. Okay guys, walking down the trap line here. Got a big fat coon laying right here. And that trap was right down here along the bank in a pocket set. It's just a #1 coil spring. Caught that coon no problem. So that was one of the traps I was planning on pulling. I may reset that one, or I may just put this trap in its place. We'll think about that here in a minute. Let's get this coon out of the trap and dispatch him, and we'll move on. Okay, so what I've done here is I've found the tree that's on the bank. It is close to water over here. It is close to a very well-used trail here. And what I'm looking for in that tree is just a area where there's a semi-fork in the root system of that tree. Like right here, where this poison ivy's growing out. And I'll just dig myself an area out. You can do this with a claw hammer. You don't have to have a trapping hammer for this. It's one of the other beauties of this whole system. You don't have to bed the trap at all. The only thing I'm doing is digging a little cave for it, like an animal dig. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 10-penny nail. I'm going to take this trap, which I've already set on a hair trigger, and the best way to do that is just to hold the door up with your fingers and adjust that trigger, those whiskers, till they're just barely touching it. Then your trap is set. Then all I'm going to do is I'm going to push it into that depression that I just dug, and I'm going to nail this chain right to the tree on this swivel. Now, that's not coming out. Now I'm just going to shove it inside here in that pocket. I'm going to take some of this dirt that I've dredged out and just cover it back up with a few leaves, just like this, but I'm going to leave the opening there. If I wanted to put some lure in here, I could do that. But just this digging will give them a visual that something's been here. Bait, very simple. One marshmallow. I'm just going to tear the sides of it a little bit to expose some fibers and drop it right down inside. When he sticks his hand in there to get that marshmallow out, he's going to trip the triggers and be hung. So I'm going to test 2 or 3 of these around this bank line. We'll see how they work out. Okay, so here's a view for you guys of a little bit of a close-up of what this looks like. It just looks like something's been digging in the ground right there, right at the base of that tree. When that raccoon sticks his hand in there to get that marshmallow out, he's going to push against those triggers and slam that door down on his hand, and he can't get out. Guys, I'm Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School. I hope you enjoyed me on this little run across the creek bed here. This is just one zone in my trap line that I'm using, and like I said, I've only got a dozen traps out right now. Today the only thing I caught was that raccoon. But I set those 3 dog-proof Duke coon traps out. We'll see how they do. I pulled 3 traps in the meantime because I'm trying to stay with 1 dozen traps to see how viable that is throughout the year to provide meat and fur. That's a good 15, 20 pound coon right there. That's enough meat for 2 or 3 days in a real self-reliant situation long term for one person. And again, I've got to hide. I appreciate you joining me for this video. I thank you for everything you do for me, for my school, for my family. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.